Okay, so we might as well get started. So just so you know, I introduced myself and my name was Shay, and I'm one of the professors in the Okanagan School of Business, and I'll let Blair introduce himself. Blair is one of our other professors. You guys got 2 for 1. Well, 2 for 2.
Hi again, Laura and Shelley and Saya. Yes, I'm very, very, very proud to be able to work for the Okanagan School of Business, and we hope tonight's brief lesson on using creativity to help solve problems will turn you on, motivate you to think about business school. And of course, if you like this type of focus tonight, we can assure you that we have a lot of courses like this that will motivate you to think and give you some great skills in the future.
Great. Okay, I'm just going to clear the drawings, and we will go on to our next slide. So we're going to actually be talking about a process. It's a very structured process called design thinking, but it's also lots of fun. So in the design thinking process, there's these steps that we follow that you'll see on your screen. First of all, we try and figure out how we can empathize with the people that we're designing our solutions for. So I'll talk a little bit more about how that works, and we'll give you some examples. The second thing is that we want to define what it is that we're trying to understand. So we want to try and figure it out, gain a little bit more understanding about it. And then what we call ideate or ideate, and we come up with a bunch of different ideas. Okay. And from those ideas, we start prototyping, which means we actually start creating something from our ideas and test what we create, and we throw things out if they don't work. So this whole process is you go back and forth, right? You come up with a prototype, then somebody says that they want you to do something else. So you go back to the empathize stage, okay, or maybe get more understanding. So you change your prototype and then you test it, and you might find something else out that you want to do. So we're cycling around in these steps all the time. So even though they look like they're in order, they don't always happen in order. Okay, one famous example of a company that uses design thinking is Airbnb. So Airbnb was a company that was actually failing, and I'm guessing that most of you have now heard of Airbnb. So Airbnb used the concept of design thinking to try and help them transform what a small business that was failing into a hugely successful business. And part of that transformation was that they actually got people to help them, or they used the empathize stage to help them understand what it was that people were looking for when they were looking for accommodations in certain towns. So from that stage, they found out more about what people were looking for. They found out what people didn't like about booking places to stay at. They found out what people did like. And they ended up creating a whole model around this Airbnb concept where you book accommodations for short-term stays, and you don't necessarily meet the people that you're staying with, or sometimes you do. And they created this whole platform, and it's worked out really well for them. They're hugely successful, obviously. And we also have another example of design thinking that's probably just a little bit more fun. And I'm just going to stop sharing my screen because I'm going to turn it on so that we can actually hear the audio that goes with it, because it's really important for this one to be able to hear what they're saying or what the sounds are. So this one. Okay. And if somebody could just give me, Blair, maybe a heads up in the chat, because as soon as I do this, I lose all my pictures. I'm going to play this, and hopefully you guys can hear this short video about design thinking. Okay, there we go. So how fun was that? So that's an example of design thinking. So it's a really fun way to address a problem of people not walking upstairs, right? They wanted to try and find a way to get people to walk up and down the stairs. So they looked at all the different fun ways that was their problem, was how to find a way to get people to walk up and down stairs. And so they just came up with something totally different. And thank you, Blair, for finding that video. It's excellent. So they came up with something totally different about why people would want to walk up and down stairs. They made it fun, they made it creative, and they increased the number of people walking up and down the stairs by 66%. So a fantastic example of design thinking at work, right? Creating a fun tool for people. Okay, so let me just share my screen again really quickly. So what we're going to design today is, oh, come on. Okay, there we go. So what we're going to design today is the workspace for students who are studying virtually with a computer, perhaps in their bedroom, maybe, maybe not. So what we thought we'd do is we thought Blair and I would maybe tell you a little bit about our workspaces. So Blair, what do you have in what's your workspace? How would you describe it?
Oh, it's not great. I'm sitting here on a beautiful day and the light's shining in, but it makes my face look really pale and white. But you know, I guess it's okay. I find you know my chair's pretty comfortable, but it's not nearly as comfortable as my most comfortable chair. So it sounds like I'm complaining, but I've got some problems. It's certainly at times it's noisy. At times it's too quiet. So it makes me miss the classroom shade. I mean, you look like yours is really quiet, but how's yours today? What's your workspace like?
I'm really lucky because I have an actual bedroom in our house that I converted into a bit of an office. And I can't sit for very long. I find I'm too hyperactive to sit for any length of time. So I actually have a desk that I can stand at. So you can't see, but I'm actually standing up. So I love standing up because then I can move around and it makes me feel
Oh,
better.
that's so nice. I kill for that. I mean, actually, I find myself falling asleep more than when I sit down compared to standing up. So that's a great idea. Of course, but if I stood up, then I guess I'd be adding a pile of book after book after book after book after book to put my laptop up that high, which I suppose is bearable. But then I wonder if my feet would get tired. Interesting. Um, do you find your feet getting tired? Sure.
I do. And so sometimes I just have to sit down. So yeah, especially because some of our classes at Okanagan College are 3 hours long. So by 3 hours of standing, my feet do get a little bit tired. So sometimes I do have to sit down. And not only that, but my computer screen. So I don't use a laptop. I use 2 computer screens in front of me, which is nice because then I can see way more, but they're right in front of the window. And so well, not only do I get distracted because sometimes I look out the window at what's going by instead of actually doing my work, but also I find sometimes when the sun's shining bright, it's hard to see the computer screens.
Now,
So
why do you
that's another
use two
problem.
computer screens? Are you using one to teach on Zoom, and is the other one showing your favorite Netflix show that you're watching when you're bored?
Well, it's not actually because I find this Zoom thing, and I don't know about you guys, but I find it very complicated. So I generally have all my materials that I'm going to use to teach within the day on one screen. And then on my other screen, I have my Zoom where I can see all of you guys. So I can see both at the same time. So I can see my chat because there's a chat function on Zoom that I can chat to everybody. And I can see your videos, usually except for when I show audio, and I can see my slides from my PowerPoint show. So I really like that.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Well, we should figure out what a challenge is then.
Yeah. So today we're going to look at what challenges we could use to help us improve our workspaces. So to start off with, I thought I would give a little poll here. And you guys, these polls are anonymous. And it's kind of Tori helped us set them up at the beginning, so thank you for that, Tori. but if you answer no to the first one, you might find it hard to answer the second one. But seeing as how you're all online with us today, I'm guessing you can answer yes to the first one and probably something relevant for the second one. So you just click on your answer and it should let you choose your answer. Perfect. And I'm gonna, oh, I can't answer. Can you answer, Blair?
I've answered.
You've answered?
Yep.
Great. Yep. Okay, so let me end our polling and see what we've got. So when we're in Zoom, I can share the poll results. So you guys should all be able to see what everybody said. So most of us had to attend classes virtually from our home during COVID. So I'm guessing right now is probably a really good example of that. We're all joined virtually trying to attend a class. And what best describes our workplace when we attend classes virtually from home? Well, we have a kitchen table, we have a desk in the bedroom, and we have an office desk. So we have a couple people with desks in the bedroom. So that's great. We have quite a variety of different ways that people are virtually attending class in terms of their workspace. So our next task is to figure out a question that we want to answer. So if you think about it, we already had, I'm going to turn this off first and stop sharing my screen for a sec. There we go. Okay. So if you think about it, we already had an example of what I would call a how might we statement. The music stairs, the piano stairs, was a how might we get more people to walk up the stairs, right? So that was the foundation for their design challenge. How might we get more people to walk up and down the stairs? So we can do the same thing with our problem, right? We can say, how might we? So does anyone want to say what we could maybe do for this class tonight in terms of how might we, if we think about our designing our workspace, how might we, anyone want to take a stab at it? Maybe we could say something like, how might we create a workspace during COVID that is,
I don't know if I understood, but I think we might try to make some more ergonomic chair, because I choose some that I have here, but now using more because of COVID, I am sitting more time that I usually sit in this chair. So we might see like how to improve our space, making our body shape better. I don't know how to speak this in English. And
yeah.
Yet.
Yeah. Perfect. So I think that's perfect. So maybe comfortable is the word we're looking for. So how might we make our workspace more comfortable? And if we look at the chat, we have Shelley has said, thank you, Shelley, how might we make our workspace more efficient but fun? Okay. And Tori said comfortable, and Shelley agreed with Shelley too, with also fun or happy. Does anyone else have anything that they think that they would like to do based on their workspace?
Saya, do you have any question you'd like to phrase regarding the workspace and how might me, what the issue or the problem is that you would like to solve? And of course, with Shay and I, anything you say is good.
Yeah. I forgot to do the interviews, Blair. We were going to interview you guys. Blair, you should be doing this, not me. So if we think about your own workspaces, what do you think what do you feel like when you're in your workspace? Do you feel comfortable? Do you feel like you're also having fun? Are you happy in your workspace?
I think workspace has to be more like the place which we can like concentrate and then focusing on something. I think that's the most important part for the workspace.
Yeah, good point. So it needs to be something there where you can focus. Yeah.
Very good point.
Yeah, and concentrate.
And Saya, thank you for that. That's a very, very relevant point to make. What about your current works? What is it? Is it okay at this point to ask you, Saya, what is it about your current workspace that you like the most?
Well, I feel like this is not the best space, but I think it's still okay to like concentrate something.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Shelley's comments too are that she's comfortable but's invested in it. So you have a proper chair, multiple monitors, a stand-up desk. So kind of like me, Shelley. Yeah, I invested in it as well to make myself comfortable, which is great. What would you say for each of you is the worst thing about your workspace? When you're done at the end of the day, or you've taken a class and you're done at the end of the class, what's the worst thing? What do you feel is like, what makes you tired? What makes you not want to just leave the room? Close the computer. Anything?
For me, is the noise. Sometimes I can hear so well because the noise outside.
Right. And it looks like that's with Shelley too. It's the noise in the living room, too much noise and family sometimes. Yeah.
Same as me.
Same as you. Well, my husband's learning to play the electric guitar, so I have a lot of noise in my house sometimes. Oh dear. Okay. Well, let's continue on, shall we? So we have this how might we statement that we might want to use to help us. That's why I'm typing, they're making dinner. That's funny, Shelley. Okay. So let's think about, let's put our creativity to use, shall we? So let's think about, and I'll share my screen here. And you can use the annotate function if you would like to, but what do you think would be the worst possible workspace look like? What would be some of the characteristics? You can use the annotate function. You can you could type it in the chat or just use your microphone. What would be the worst possible workspace? Sounds like for Shelley, it might be if it was in the kitchen right now. Noisy, dark. Yeah, those are good. I think if I had, for me, it would be, I'll see if I can write, no light, yeah, an uncomfortable chair. Yeah. Distractions. Anything else you guys can think of? Too much light. Yeah, that's me too. Actually, I have too much light in mine as well, which also makes it hard. Cold. Let's see if I can move some of these around. Not having enough space. Yeah, and not enough desk. Too hot. Yeah. Yeah, hot is definitely a problem, I think. Hot and cold. There's one up here too. So we want temperature. And space. So we have any, is that everything we've got under there? Okay, is there anything else you guys can think of? Not having a cafe nearby. Oh, there's another space one. I like the not having cafe nearby. Yeah. What about, for me, I don't like like poor air circulation. So just stuffy. Does that make sense?
I see Saya also added a chat
Ah,
comment that said not
yeah.
having a phone is too close.
So is that you want a phone nearby or you don't want a phone nearby?
I don't want a phone nearby.
You don't want one?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's too distracting?
Yes.
Yeah. Great. Okay, so let's keep all these things in mind. So we've got noisy, we've got not enough space, we've got some light problems. Oops, hang on a second. We've got some light problems. We don't want it to be too light. We don't want it to be too dark. Okay, we want to have a comfortable chair. We want no distractions, including no phones nearby. We want to have the temperature right. We want to have maybe some good air circulation, and we want to have some coffee nearby. That would be nice. Okay, so we have a whole bunch of different things that we can think of that might make our workspace absolutely horrible if these things were there. So let me clear this, and then let's do the next one, which you can probably guess what it is. The next one is, what would be the best possible workspace? What would that look like? So now we know what we don't want. What do we want? So what are some of the things that we really need to have in our workspace that we didn't maybe have on the other slide, or we could put ones that we did as well. Oh, that's me drawing. There we go. A large desk. Control over light and temperature. Oh, all sorts of things coming out now. That's good. Enough space. Yeah. Good lighting, adjustable temperature, good sized desk, comfortable seat. A comfy chair nearby to take breaks at. So not even necessarily the chair that you're actually sitting in front of your screen at too. Yeah. For me, I got that one, the microphone and camera one is for me. I like to be able to turn my microphone and camera off and on and be able to turn it around. Maybe it could follow me when I walk around the room. That'd be kind of nice, wouldn't it? That'd be handy. Then I could go sit in my comfy chair and be able to still talk instead of being attached to a headset. Anything else that people have there that they would like? Quiet room, lighting that makes me, yeah. Lighting that makes me look probably good, right? Coffee and tea maker. All sorts of fun things.
There, I restated it.
Where is it? There, that makes me look good. There we go. Proper lighting that makes me look good. Perfect. Okay. And I think that's important too, because I always end up with this funny, you can see I got funny bright lights coming down on top of me there with the shining on my gray hair. It's always kind of funny. But yeah, so it'd be nice to have lighting that doesn't do that. That would be good. Okay. So now we've got a whole bunch of different ideas of what would be the worst possible workspace. And we've looked at what would be the best possible workspace. Let's see if we can pull out our pencils and papers. If you guys, does everybody have a pencil and paper nearby that they can use? Yeah, Shelly's good. Saya, do you have a pencil and paper nearby you can use?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, and Laura, hopefully.
Well, I think Laura's looking for one.
There we go. Perfect.
Got one, Laura.
Okay.
You can borrow one of mine, Laura, if you want.
So now that we've written all these things on the screen, let's see if we can actually draw them. So let's have a little fun with this. Let's take a few minutes and just see, and we're going to do this 3 times. So 3 times, let's see if you can draw what your perfect workspace would look like, or what you think would be a perfect workspace. And if you have 3 pieces of paper, that's great. If you have 1 piece of paper, you might want to divide it up into 3 sections, because we're going to do this 3 times. And then see if you can draw your perfect workspace. And there's no prizes for drawing well, so it can be as messy as you want to make it. You can use circles and arrows, and you can write words and draw squares, whatever you want to do. Okay, so I'm going to try and draw my perfect workspace. So we'll just take 5 minutes or so. See, I need your music, Blair. We'll just take 5 minutes to see if we can draw a perfect workspace. How's everyone doing? Anyone finished yet? Oh, Tori's got hers. Shelly's got hers. I've got mine. Okay. How are you doing, Blair? You're good?
I am good.
Laura's good? Shelly's good?
Yes, I got it.
Great. Say, are you good? Yep, great. Okay, so we can hold our pictures up to the camera and we can see what everybody drew. So the problem is that if you hold yours up, you got to hold up in a way that you can see and also. Oh, look, Tori's got colors. Oh, and Laura, yours looks like you got a plant. I didn't put any plants in mine. That would have been fantastic. There we go. Blair's got, oh yeah, nice, lots of space in Blair's. Look at that. Perfect. Shelly, I can see yours now. Look at that. Okay, so if you don't want your picture in the thing, I'm gonna take a picture, a print screen. So throw your, oh, there we go. Saya, you got yours there too. Oh, nice, big desk.
Wow,
Perfect.
what an artist you are, Saya.
I know, that's awesome.
3D.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna do a print screen so we have pictures of everybody's, perfect. Okay, so let's do the next challenge. The next challenge is going to be, as I stop my share, is, oh, sorry, share. Okay, our next challenge is going to be to do our workspace, but this time we have to draw it again. This time we can make improvements to it because we can have a robot in our workspace. Okay, so try and draw your workspace now as if you had a robot that was there to help you in your workspace to make it more comfortable for you. So what could the robot do in your workspace that would make it even better? So I'm going to start again now that I have a robot. And I'm going to steal some ideas. Oh, the robot can do whatever you want the robot to do. Yeah, so the robot can do anything. It could be a little teeny weeny robot. It could be a giant robot, but something that the robot's going to do that's going to make your workspace even more comfortable. So what can the robot do for you that's going to make it even more comfortable? I really like the plant that, I think, Laura, was that you that had the plants? I think I'm going to have a plant in my new office. I really like that. I'm going to have a tree. Maybe they will do all your work, Tori. Oh, you can draw your robot. You can kind of draw whatever you think it's going to do, however it's going to work in your office. You can make it move around. You can use words if you want to. Describe your robot. I'm going to have more than one robot in mine. I'm going to have 2 robots. How's everyone doing? You all good?
I
Still
am good.
going?
I've got my diagram.
Done, Shelley? Perfect. I'm done. I didn't have as complicated a diagram this time because my robot was doing everything. Is done.
I have a way more complicated diagram.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so what changed, Blair, between your first diagram and your second diagram when you introduced a robot?
Okay, so as you see, the first thing I've done is I've added a ping pong table because I've got somebody to play ping pong with now. And I love ping pong and I find it a great stress relief, but I can't play it by myself. I'm not one of those who folds it up against the wall. I've now introduced a stove and a refrigerator because my robot's going to cook and make coffee whenever I want. And then I put the robot at a desk behind me because I've taken up on Tori's comment that when I get lazy and unproductive, I'm going to tell the robot to do some of my work. And then I've moved down to the far end and I put my cozy chair plus my keyboards, and I've added a TV and a sofa because now when the robot's doing my work, I can start to be as annoying as Shay's husband and work on my keyboards and play my guitar. And if I get bored, I can turn around and start watching my Montreal Canadiens taped hockey games. So now I have a busier room, but actually much happier.
Perfect. Does somebody else want to share it with us what's different between their first one and their second one with the robot?
I'm happy to share.
Sure, let's hear.
I also added some things like Blair, now that I have a robot that will close and open the blinds for me and write on the whiteboard for me and bring me books in the comfy chair. So I added a tea station so it can make and bring me tea. And then I also added like a yoga mat so it could lead me in stretch breaks because I always forget to like do stretching while I'm at the office. And then I'm hoping it can give me massages in my chair too, but I don't know because robots generally, you know, pretty stiff and robotic in my mind. So it might not be the best masseuse, but definitely added more things.
That's great. I see we lost Shelley, but Laura or Saya, would either of you guys like to share what your robot did?
I'm gonna share because I'm not ashamed, but I should be.
Oh.
I couldn't do anything. I just need a coffee that a coffee machine can do. So my robot is nothing, but okay. I thought he could make massage and many things, but I cannot draw a robot and I missed the time trying to draw. So
That's all right.
Blair, you're awesome. I love it. You're
Perfect. Saya, did you want to share yours? You don't have to if you don't want to. Yeah. Okay, great.
I kind of did this. And then, well, I put the robot which is like clean the table. And also like the robot which manage my schedule. And then I also put it the big like display in front of the desk. I think that's like makes me fun to like study.
That's great. That's perfect. So, and I guess Shelley's back. Yay. Okay, so with my robot, I decided my whole desk was going to be a robot, and my desk was going to follow me around instead of me following my desk around. So my desk was going to spin around on wheels, and I would just sit in my recliner chair in the middle of the room. And then I had another robot that was going to deliver me tea and books, and I was a bit like Tori. I had a bouncy ball at the back there of the room that I could go and do some exercises with. So, and I had a plant. Thank you, Laura, for the plant idea. So that's how I decided to make my robot useful for me. So let's do one more exercise. So this time we're just going to do it, see if we can actually, if we had all the money in the world, okay? So if we had all the money in the world, what would our office space look like? So we'll just take a couple minutes to do this one. We'll go a little bit faster. So if we had all the money in the world, what would we change up or what would we do differently that might make our office space look even more comfortable and fun and quiet and all the things that we had listed in our what would be the perfect office space? I didn't realize how bad at drawing I actually was. How's everyone doing? Does anyone want to tell us what their perfect world, all the money in the world, office space looks like? Maybe just some highlights. Saya, do you want to go first this time?
Sure.
Oh, there we go.
Mm,
What do you have for us?
I didn't imagine like, I don't know. Well, I put it like big snack space and then drink bar. And then I also got a 2 table and then one is like kind of tiny one and like more comfortable chairs, so like more relaxing. And then I also put it the robot, which is like as a teacher can like ask question or something.
Perfect. So you'd be taught by a robot in your 2 comfy tables with comfy chairs. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Did anyone else have something really different? Ah, so Shelly, a pretty empty room with just the computers. I'm doing other things I like to do, just the hookups I need for the computer. Perfect. Laura, Blair, or Tori?
Let's go with Laura, see what she came up with.
Awesome. We have 2 monitors, big chair. Oh, you're on mute, so we can't hear you.
Sorry. I thought in some two levels of chairs to study stand like
Yeah.
you, and some sofas and many different places to work.
Nice. And I see from Tori that she just moved her office to a lakefront property. Tori, I one-upped you. I went to a deserted, I don't know if you can see that one. I went to a deserted island with fish and a palm tree. That's where I decided I was going to be with all my hookups. Same as Shelly, all my hookups that I need, but on a deserted island. That's what I was going for. And I even put a little fan there in case it got too hot, but the sun in case it was too cold. And I had a deserted island, so there'd be no noise. Yeah. And Blair, what did you end up with?
I ended up, and I'm going to have to visually describe it to you because I just have so much going on, but I am going to have a private lake that is on the edge in the wilderness that is going to be teeming with wildlife, swans, beavers, depends on the world where I'll go. But let's say I'll go to Finland with a private lake in Finland, and I'm going to have a dock with a sauna at the bottom of the dock, and there's stairs leading up to my workspace. And the workspace is very tiny, maybe 1,000 square feet, a little cabin, but in that workspace, it's going to be surrounded by windows, and I'm going to have a moon roof or a sun roof, a retractable roof that I can open the air to when it's warm, close it when it's cold. And in my 1,000 square feet, I'm still keeping to my workspace that I had before. And I don't have a robot any longer. I decided I didn't want to have a robot because I wanted to have a workspace that would be inviting to have other people come and join me. So I'm going to have sofas, a couple of really comfortable Scandinavian design chairs with ottomans, a TV. I want a music studio area of the room, but not a studio. I don't need a green room, but I'm going to have a green wall at the back where if we need to shoot content or actually stand up and teach against a green wall, I've got that. I'm going to have a garden and grass outside that if I need to go and veg and just lie down in the grass and stare at the sky, I can do that. Of course, sound surround speakers in the whole of my office and workspace so that when I walk anywhere, I can walk on mic and I can be heard and I can hear you. I don't have to be sitting down like this today with headphones plugged in. So that wouldn't it be nice that I could just walk in here? So that's my dream. So I'm thinking along your lines.
Perfect. So thank you everybody for coming up with your creative ideas. So how do we translate all this stuff into the real world? Okay, so design thinking is exactly what we've done. It takes any type of problem and it takes what the users are experiencing, and then you try and generate ideas, and you try and generate crazy ideas by using things like reverse thinking. So thinking about what's the worst it would look like, as opposed to what's the best it would look like. Or you challenge your thinking and you challenge assumptions that you would have made. So we challenged you by saying, what would your workspace look like now if you had a robot? What would it look like if you had all the money in the world? So by challenging your assumptions, you come up with more ideas. And then you start building these prototypes. And the prototypes, so we came up with some pretty crazy ideas. And sure, some of them we'll probably throw out. But some of those crazy ideas that we generated from doing all those different activities might actually get built into the final solution. Right? So by doing those crazy activities, we've actually improved our creativity, and we've looked beyond what we would normally consider when we thought about a workspace. Look how far you came from that first diagram you drew all the way through to the last one you drew and how it changed. And then you go back and you say, well, how can I build some of this stuff into my workspace that would actually make it better in some way? So it seems like it's far-fetched, but it's a really great way to pull it all together. And then the last thing is that with design thinking, there's lots of failures. You can probably see that by all the different things we created, like a lot of that's going to fail, right? So there's a lot of failures. So in design thinking, we always embrace our failures. And this example, this little picture that I put here is just from Uber Eats, who also use design thinking. And that every single time they go into a new community, they embrace the concepts of design thinking, and they start from scratch to think, how can they make eating more accessible for every single person in a city? So how can they improve the delivery, the service, the quality of the food, everything? And that's how they approach their their business model is using design thinking. So we can see some incredibly successful businesses have come out of this design thinking world. So that's the end of our presentation. And just before we finish up for tonight, what's your guys' plans? Laura, are you thinking about going to college, coming to college, maybe in the business program? Are you thinking about, yeah?
I'm going to Okanagan school in September, I hope. Yeah. Then I'm studying English a lot, and I'm excited.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. And thank you, Tori. I see your note. You have to head out the door, so that's great. And Saya, what's your plans? Are you going to come to Okanagan College, do you think?
I'm not sure about it, but I'm just interested in this class, so.
Great.
Thank you.
Well,
perfect.
I think what we tried to show the two of you tonight, Saya and Laura, is that we teach you in a way here at the School of Business, and we want you to choose your education wisely as you move to the future, because we believe that we give you a lot of competencies and adventures in school. So when we talk about that first video, the fun theory, learning is hard work, but it should be fun. And if you look at how quickly an hour has passed tonight, we've had a lot of fun creating, talking. And while this is a small group, obviously just with 4 of us, imagine that you have the same type of atmosphere and dynamics in a class of 20 or a class of 30. So I think we do this as part of our brand, that we're very proud of our School of Business, that we teach in a way that is fun. And we hope you think of us, because your education is your path to survival and sustainability in the future. So we hope you have lots of good choices in your research hard, and we hope that you consider us. And I know that Shay is going to throw up post our emails here. If you have any questions, feel free to email either of us as you are making your educational choices. And even if you've made a choice elsewhere, it doesn't stop you from emailing us and asking questions.
Thank you very much.
So I put our email addresses in the chat there. Although I go by Shay, my name has a very funny spelling, Schlag, but that's me. I just say Shay, and Blair Baldwin, and both our email addresses are there, and you're very welcome to reach out to us. And thank you so much, you guys.
I didn't see it in the chat.
Oh no, maybe it didn't go. There we go. Try that.
There. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, so I'll give you guys a few minutes to jot those down, and we'd very much like to see you at Okanagan College at some point, maybe in September or down the road. It'd be fantastic. And thank you so much for joining us tonight. It was fun to have you here. Yeah.